First, let's take a look at the opportunities of social media. So we mentioned that what social media enables is similar to working and collaborating online within your organization. You know, connecting along these axes of working at different places at different times. The thing is, with social media, you can build a own network. Within your organization, you have your employees, you know the people you want to connect with, but with social media, you can build that own community. And there's actually 4 stages you can do that with, and that social media can play a role in that. So I'm going to look at a few of these examples, not from a company perspective, but as a group of building a community. So the first one is making connections. So with social media, you can find people, you can connect with people, either because you know the name, you know somebody's on the platform, you've been tagged by somebody you know from before, or you find new people because you search for them, they have interesting content, they're in the same group, they're recommended to you, and so on. So you can build networks and you can establish a connection, of course via Facebook, Twitter, but you can also use a thing called social searching, where you find people based on your social profile, and that way you connect with people that, you know, link up with your interests and motivations. That connection can be extended to viral marketing. I put a picture here of Mike Bloomberg, who was promoting his campaign in 2020. Of course, now we know it didn't turn out very well. But one of the things he did, he was very pushing using influencers as part of, he tried to launch a viral marketing campaign, quite forced, spent a lot of money on it, and people saw through it right away, and it didn't really work out. And in fact, that action of his trying to create this viral marketing campaign became viral marketing, only in his, not to his advantage in the end. So these influencers, YouTube, Instagram, that's a way of also establishing a connection, but a bit more forced through marketing and viral marketing, where you try to establish a connection for your company. The other way to establish a connection, as I mentioned with KLM, is through customer relationships or customer support. You can ask people for reviews, you can do web care, you can build your public image. So that way you build a connection on your brand, or with your brand and with your customers. Of course, there is often a prior relationship, especially with returning customers, but potential customers are also ones you can build a connection with via social media. So here is an example that I really liked about the Spanish police. Here I'm just showing this to you because of the connection part, and that digital connections are great. But what people really strive for is this human interaction, not just web camera, but really want to see a face, feel part of a community. And this was really great when I saw this online. Okay, so if there's anybody watching from the Dutch police, please, here's a suggestion. No, but seriously, what I like here, aside from that, of course, this is viral marketing in a sense, building the public's image of the police here. It shows you that the power of social media, that we can pick up these, and that a real world connection now is being broadcasted online and helps the police to establish more connections. So you can see it actually reinforces each other. Next is enhancing communication using social media. So it allows you to share information. If we establish a connection with somebody, the next step is that we communicate, which is actually exchanging information. That means sharing the content, which could be blogs or could be videos like these on YouTube, microblogs or instant messaging. Anywhere, once you have a connection, you start communicating, and you have to think about what you want to communicate. So here is somebody who's sharing their knowledge on how to double the use of your toilet paper by splitting the toilet rolls, and Anyway, so that's something then you could communicate. So you share information with the connections you've made. And sharing that information might also give you new connections. You can go one step further. We say, well, communicating and sending things is great, but how do we, the next step would be to cooperate, where you could help, you can ask for help to achieve your goal, or you could help others achieve their goal. So you could use sharing, where you can share knowledge. You can do bookmarking, social bookmarking, where you collaborate by sharing links on the same subject, or you can answer questions on Reddit. You have Pinterest, where you can contribute ideas. But even on Twitter, this is possible. So here again, a Dutch example, somebody asked, yes, they had an online meeting with students, except for me and my colleague, all the webcams weren't off, which was a bit unsatisfying to me. What do other teachers think? Can I ask students to turn on their webcams? And then we use in the Netherlands, we use the hashtag DTV, which stands for durf te vragen in Dutch, dare to ask. And then people started replying with answers. So here you cooperate online, you have a connection, you communicate what you want. Next step is you cooperate and help other people achieve their goal, which in this case is asking for advice or answering their question. And again, there is a lot of platforms that allow you to do this. So and the next, if we look then even further, what could we do besides helping other people achieve the goal is, of course, work together to achieve a shared goal. So then we talk about enhancing collaboration. And then this goes into more the tools we talked about last time, because now we're using tools to create content together, to achieve an objective, to create an impact or make a change. So you can use cloud-based tools like Google Docs, where you can work in at the same time content management systems like Canvas, if you talk about learning environments in schools, or WordPress. And you can do human-based computing, crowdsourcing. I'll give you an example of that in a minute. But essentially, crowdsourcing means that everybody's working together to contribute some knowledge and jointly develop insights, for example, a map. And then another way of collaborating is not so much adding content, but using collective intelligence, bringing knowledge together. For example, on Wikipedia, everybody's working there towards a single shared goal, which is creating an extensive knowledge base, an online encyclopedia, and everybody's contributing the knowledge they have. Again, based on Web 2.0 technologies. OpenStreetMap is another example, which is the mapping, the Google Maps equivalent, the Wikipedia equivalent of Google Maps. Essentially, we have a map, and everybody can start adding dots and information on the map about their environment, which then builds a complete database using a combination of crowdsourcing and collective intelligence. But also software development like OpenOffice, which is a free open source equivalent of Microsoft Office. That's where everybody's programming together. Everybody contributes a little bit of code, everybody contributes their insights. So open source collaborative projects are also a form of collective intelligence, because everybody's contributing a little bit and we're working towards a single shared goal, which is that new piece of software or that tool. An example of this is OpenOffice. Another one is I'm using Open Broadcaster software, which is another open source project that you can use to create videos and stream online. And that is something that is used a lot in this time of Corona. This article here says that communities rally around each other and use Google Docs to organize themselves. They set up groups, they share documents, and in the last lecture I showed you another example of that, which was the Corona virus tech handbook, where several teachers around the world contributing their knowledge to a Google Doc to create some output. So collaboration, difference from cooperation. Cooperation is helping each other. Collaboration is really a shared objective. And one of these examples is the Standby Task Force. So in the Standby Task Force, people is made of a group of thousands of volunteers around the world that are all ready to help when a disaster strikes. And here's an example of what they've done in the Philippines after Typhoon Haiyan in 2012. When a major typhoon passed over the country, the Standby Task Force The volunteers went around on social media, started looking at pictures, put them in a Google Sheet, and started analyzing what they could see in the pictures, where they were taking. They used Google Translate to translate local language into English, started geotagging them. So within 2 hours or a few hours, they produced this map. Of course, this map is not a complete picture, but it was produced very fast using crowdsourcing on social media, and it was produced before even the first humanitarians arrived in the country. And the Standby Task Force has grown, and they're doing it now in the corona outbreak as well. So it's an example of how you're using Web 2.0 technologies, human intelligence, crowdsourcing to build and to work towards a single shared objective. If you want to know more about them, just Google Standby Task Force online, add humanitarian to it, and I'm sure you'll find them. Now, there are also some pitfalls to social media, and I won't go into all of them in this lecture. We'll come back to privacy, security, and ethics of information systems in a later lecture. But now, one of the things you, of course, have on social media, because everybody can contribute their content, and exactly the incentive is to share content that other people like or click on or incentivizes them, is the creation of fake news. This is one of Daniel Radcliffe that was tested positive for the coronavirus. I put this here, but I'm sure you've seen many other examples of fake news around there. So the social media also poses a threat. That's, for example, why you see now on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook all these warnings of where trusted information can be found. Because on the networks, and especially if you create these communities that are an echo chamber of like-minded people, remember, with the same social norms, it is hard to identify which information is real and which one is not. So that is one of the pitfalls of social media, is that because people can create their own content, because people connect with same social norms, serving as an echo chamber, because the incentive is there to generate content, there is a fake news. There is an incentive to create it and an incentive to read it and act on it. And because social media, as I mentioned in the beginning, is not just tied to one organization, it allows you actually to create new connections and form a digital identity separate from your real-world identity. It also blurs the line between our work, between our private life, between the digital world, between the physical world. And this is an example of somebody who posted on Facebook saying, oh, she hates her job, the boss is a wanker, always wants to do me stuff and pisses me off. Forgetting that her boss was also on social media and there was a connection, or he made the connection, and he read the message and said, don't worry, you don't have to come back to work tomorrow. So social media also blurs the lines between, we said these virtual communities, but there is a bleed over into our physical world and vice versa. Because, new connections outside your work can be formed, or people from your work can be connected as well, and they can find the content as well. So it also blurs the line between private and things. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about the risks of social media for a company. For example, how viral marketing can go wrong, what you can do about it. So act fast, keep an eye on what's happening for your company. Those things we'll talk a little bit later on in our chapter on customer relationship management and marketing.